Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 68 to 72 of chapter 2. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Nigrihitani sarvashah,
Nigrihitani sarvashah,
Indriyani-indriyarthebhyah,
Indriyani-indriyarthebhyah,
Tasya prajna pratisthita,
Tasya prajna pratisthita,
Ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
Ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
Tasyam jagarti sanyami,
Tasyam jagarti sanyami,
Yasyam jagrati bhutani,
Yasyam jagrati bhutani,
Sa nisha pashyato muneः,
Sa nisha pashyato muneः,
Apuryamānamachala pratishtham,
Apuryamānamachala pratishtham,
Samudramāpah pravishanti yadvat,
Samudramāpah pravishanti yadvat,
Tadvat kāmāyam pravishanti sarve,
Tadvat kāmāyam pravishanti sarve,
Sashantimāpnoti na kāmakāmi,
Sashantimāpnoti na kāmakāmi,
Vihāya kāmānyas sarvān,
Vihāya kāmānyas sarvān,
Pumāmscharati nisprihah,
Pumāmscharati nisprihah,
Nirmamo nirahankarah,
Nirmamo nirahankarah,
Sashantimadhigacchati,
Sashantimadhigacchati,
Esha brahmi sthiti partha,
एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ
नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति
नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति
स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि
स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि
ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति
ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session, I gave you a lot of subtle points related to ahankar, ego, the desires, how the ego produces desires depending on what type of ego you have, what type of desires are produced in your mind, and how that is related to happiness. This is like a map, you map wherein you can easily locate these various aspects. And remember, this map is meant for you to make a study of yourself. When we are getting into such depth, when we are using the yogic approach, especially in these kinds of principles like nirahankaraha and then the nirmamaha and all this, you need to be careful not to get into a spirit of criticism, not to get into a judgmental attitude. See, as a sadhak, you will face a lot of temptations which act as obstacles in your spiritual path. Why I am saying they are temptations is because, see, if the obstacles are not enjoyable, then you will straight away avoid them. But when the obstacles come and tempt you, that is when you will have a lot of problems. See, this is not only true with the spiritual path, this is true with respect to any goal which you set in life, in any field of any field. When you fix a goal and you chalk out a plan of action and you are trying to progress towards that goal, you will find that the various factors will come and pull you away from your chosen path. Now, we usually call them as distractions, which actually act as obstructions. They don't allow you to proceed forward in the path chosen by you. Now, many people ask this question: how do we handle such distractions when they come and obstruct us? Now, first of all, you need to understand why is it that you are getting distracted. See, you decide to do something, and then certain other things come and pull you away. When I say pull you away, they first pull your mind. So why is it that they come and distract you? How is it that they have the power to pull you away, pull your mind away? The reason is these distractions come in the guise of happiness. These distractions come wearing a mask of happiness or peace or enjoyment. They come in different ways. See, for example, you say, okay, let me now do my daily exercises. You chalk out a program and you say, day 1 I'll do this, day 2 I'll do this. And as you are doing, suddenly one day the laziness factor, the quality of laziness will surface in your mind, and it will distract you. It will try to convince you by saying, go off to sleep today because you didn't get enough sleep. Something or other, some reason it will give. Now, why is it that you succumb to that? The reason is very simple, because that factor which comes to distract you from your goal does not come in a direct way. It does not say, now you have this goal, you are going in this path, now I have come here to pull you away. It does not say all that. It disguises itself in a very attractive way and tempts you by offering instant happiness, instant gratification. So the mind falls for it. See, when it comes to achieving a goal, it is generally long-term in nature. You have to wait patiently. You will have to be consistent in your efforts. Especially when it comes to the spiritual path, you may not see immediate results. It's a slow, gradual process. So that requires a lot of patience, waiting, and consistent efforts. Whereas when it comes to these distractions, they offer you instant pleasure, instant gratification. See, when you have to get up and do your exercises, that there is an effort involved. Whereas if you just sleep it off, it gives you an instant pleasure if you laze around. You can give your own examples from your life also. You need to observe your life, then you will be able to clearly absorb what is being told here. So one thing is to fix a goal and you are trying to achieve it. The other thing is succumbing to these external factors which come and distract you from your chosen path by offering you temporary, instant pleasure. If only you are able to remove that mask, that is what this wisdom does. See, this wisdom gives you that clarity to remove the masks and understand things in reality. So if you're able to remove the masks of these distractions, then you will find that they are actually not good for you. They no doubt look as if they'll give you some pleasure, but they will give you a lot of sorrow later on. So once you gain that clarity, you will no longer fall for these temptations. So if you were to see the three types of ego which I've been explaining for last several sessions, the Asuric ego, the Rakshasic ego, and the Sattvic ego. Now the Asuric ego, actually it is highly delusive. The Rakshasic ego actually falls for these temporary pleasures, whereas the Sattvic, that is the Daivika nature, the divine nature within you, gives you that power to say no to these distractions and follow the chosen path till the end with Shraddha. Shraddha means faith and consistency till you achieve whatever you had set out to achieve. So when it comes to happiness, these are the three ways, three kinds of happiness which you will which you will face in life. You have a choice there. First, the asuric happiness, which is highly delusive and illusional. It is far away from reality. Like I told you, a person who says, if the other person does not have it, now I'll feel good. But actually, in reality, your condition has not improved in any way. Still you feel happy about it. That is asuric, tamasic. In rajasic happiness, you fall for these temptations, those things which give you instant pleasure, but which can cause harm later on. Elsewhere, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, rajasic happiness is that happiness which is very pleasurable in the beginning, like nectar in the beginning, but becomes like poison in the end, he says. Whereas sattvic happiness, he says, is like poison in the beginning, because you have to apply a lot of discipline, you require a lot of self-control, you need to put in a lot of efforts. So that may not be so pleasurable to start with, but he says if you persist in that, it will become nectarine in the end. You will achieve true happiness. So you can find out how your mind is functioning. Is your mind dominated by this quality wherein you are seeking happiness where actually there is no happiness at all, or which is the asuric part, or is your mind caught up with mere instant pleasures in life where you're not having a long-term vision, or is your mind having a long-term vision and you function with a lot of inspiration, even though it may cause a lot of discomfort in the initial stages, you still have the power, the inner power and the inspiration to go through with the plan of action, to go through with the discipline in order to achieve the long-term goal. So what is your mind seeking? All the three aspects will be there. Now, which is more dominant within you? You need to find out. So the more clarity you gain about life, in the sense, my goal is nothing but the ultimate happiness. See, to understand that statement itself takes a lot of time, sometimes several years also. We are trying to speed up the process by having these Sunday sessions. When I say understanding this line, I don't mean a mere intellectual understanding of the concept, but for the mind to truly absorb and understand that my real goal is that permanent happiness. That takes a while. But once you understand that, once you absorb that, thereafter you will not fall for these petty things. Your goal, your highest goal of self-realization will be fixed. Whenever the asuric and rakshasic tendencies surface within you, you will handle them and you will keep moving in your chosen path. You will not leave your sadhana. So the whole thing which you need to understand here is that what is not good for you comes in a disguise. What is actually harmful to you disguises itself as if it is good for you. It could be any habit, whether you take the wrong type of food, the food which is not healthy for you. Now that comes in a very attractive way. And real healthy food may not look straight away attractive. So what is it that you keep choosing in life predominantly? That will determine your nature. So when you are trying to do this sadhana, as a sadhak, you are sincerely trying to progress. You are attending these Sunday sessions and you are applying yourself, applying your mind, and you want to purify yourself. So you're absorbing these principles, the asuric, rakshasic and daivika hankar. All these things you're doing. One subtle distraction is that these things can make you highly judgmental. You have to be careful. You should not use these things to start judging others and branding others. And this person is having asuric ego. This person is having rakshasic ego. You need to be very careful. The ego is always waiting to trade on your tapas. See, when the higher energy is given and when you absorb it, the ego is waiting to spoil it, to trade whatever power which you gain through your sadhana. Sometimes it tempts you in a gross way. That itself many people find it difficult. But sometimes it can come in it can disguise itself in a very subtle way. So in the name of analysis, you should not become judgmental. Like some people say, they go on talking negatively about others and then they say, no, I'm not criticizing, I'm only analyzing, I'm studying the psychology of others. In the yogic path, we say, first see the psychology of yourself. Who is to study the psychology of your mind? So you can use all this wisdom to start justifying your own ego, your own weaknesses. That alone, as a sadhak, you need to be very careful. So when you become judgmental with these principles, then all the time you will start criticizing others. You will only end up getting more agitated in life. So as a sadhak, you forget about others. Now it is about you. How do you become strong from within? What is my nature? You don't need to be bothered about the external circumstances. You need to be bothered about how you are reacting to those circumstances. As the great masters say, whatever you're facing in life, any situation, that is only around 5 to 10%. But how you react to that, that is 90 to 95%. So leave that 5-10% Focus on that 90-95%, your reactions, how you approach the whole thing. So when your approach is very positive, when you train yourself in that way, then even when you face some challenges, even when you face some problems externally, you will quickly convert all those difficulties into opportunities. Irrespective of what the external circumstances are, you will keep on growing. You will keep on achieving your goals. The spiritual energy actually makes you so powerful. It gives you the ability to achieve whatever you want, irrespective of the external circumstances. So remember this as a sadhak, when you are putting in your sincere efforts, the ego can come and try and influence your mind. When I say ego, again, we're talking of the asuric and rakshasic ego that may come and try to influence your mind by making you very judgmental. But it will come in a disguise. It will not directly say, now judge others. You will not even be aware of it. It will put that thought, now let me analyze the psychology of others. Let me make a study of others. It may come in various ways like this. But before you know, you will become very highly judgmental. And the more judgmental you are in life, the more agitated you will be. You will move away from the state of shanti, peace. This is a very important message which I am giving you. This will be so useful to all of you, because in this path, the inner path, as a sadhak, you will face many challenges. So these tips are going to help you in overcoming those challenges. This is one thing. The other thing is, when we are talking of asuric, rakshasic and daivika ahankar, now you should understand that nobody will be fully asuric or fully rakshasic or fully daivika. It will always be a combination of all three. See, these three types of ego are based on the three gunas, the tamas, rajas and sattva. Now the moment we talk of gunas means qualities. They are like, it has an adjectival role. See, when we talk of adjectives, there is no 100%. We say a person is good, a person is bad, a person is tall, a person is short. Now these are all relative terms only. A person who is tall with respect to a short person, maybe that same person will be short with respect to a further tall person. So these are not absolute terms. So when we talk of the tamas, rajas and sattva, they are gunas, qualities. They are not absolute terms. Everyone will have a mix of these three. So when you analyze and understand these principles, you should be careful about not treating them as absolute terms. I gave these examples from the puranas, like I said, Ravana is a personification of a rakshasic ego. Now a question has been asked, by Sadhak Narayan V. He has asked this question. Hari Om Guruji, pranams. Thanks for all the guidance provided to us about Sattvic, Rajasic and Asuric ego. I have few questions. Now he has basically asked two questions I am taking up as a part of this discourse because they are very relevant to whatever we are doing. It will be so useful to others. One question which is asked is, in the sessions you have given the example of Ravana having Rakshasic ego. Kindly mention who is the personification of Asuric ego from our Puranas, as this will help in having a better understanding and it will also help us to overcome it in case we have the tendency. Can Kaikeyi be said to have Asuric ego as she tried to harm Lord Rama and help her son Bharata to become the king? It's a very interesting question. So when I say that Ravana was a personification of Rakshasic ego, that doesn't mean he was 100% having that Rakshasic ego. It is always a mixture. See, everyone has the Asuric tendencies, the Rakshasic tendencies and the Daivika tendencies. The proportion keeps varying. If you are predominantly having a particular tendency, then we say that person is either an Asura or a Rakshasa or a Deva. That doesn't mean they don't have the other two. This is one principle which you need to understand. I'll give you more examples from the Puranas since you've asked for a better understanding. But first thing is, now don't try to fix these concepts and brand someone, even if it is from the Puranas. We cannot brand Ravana as a Rakshasic person, because Ravana also showed in many circumstances he showed some very wonderful qualities, and when he abducted Sita, on the other hand, he manifested his Asuric tendencies. So Ravana himself manifested all these qualities also, Asuric and Daivika nature also. He was otherwise a very wonderful person. But if you take his entire life, predominantly he was manifesting the Rakshasic ego. Therefore, I said he is a Rakshasa. It is said in the scriptures. Now similarly, you will find many gods, like for example Indra. He is a god, a Deva, but he in many cases he exhibits the Rajasic ego. Whenever a person performs any tapas, now Indra used to get very unsettled, insecure. So he used to send the heavenly damsels to distract the person who is doing the tapas. That is a manifestation of Rajasic ego. Similarly, Indra tried to trick Ahilya, who was a wife of a rishi. That was the tamasic ego manifesting. Yet overall, he is, they have portrayed him as a god. So you cannot fix it. We are talking about the predominant nature. So when you ask the example of Kaikeyi, yes, that tendency of wanting to take what belonged to Rama and give it to Bharata, it is Asuric ego only. But the same Kaikeyi, right from young age, when Rama was young, she took Rama as her own son. Actually, she had more affection towards Rama than Bharata. That was a very, very sattvic manifestation. And it was only during that portion that her, that portion of that period of time, Suddenly her mind was poisoned, and when her maid Mantra, when she poisoned Kaikeyi's mind, that triggered whatever little asuric ego was there within her. The whole thing was triggered, and she acted based on that. But after the whole thing was over, she repented. She did a lot of tapas later on. That is the Daivika nature. So we cannot classify and brand a person like that. The question is, what is predominant in a person, number one, and at what period of time, depending upon the context. So when you understand this principle, that it is a mixture of qualities, that will help you to apply it with respect to yourself and do the swadhyaya better. So even if you take the Mahabharata, Yudhishthira, predominantly he was a sattvic person, good person. But when the dice game was being played, the asuric ego took over without any reference to what is good for him and what is good for his brothers or his wife and all that. He got so caught up, he had that weakness, that craving for the dice game, that completely clouded his thinking. So during that period of time when he was playing the dice game, the asuric ego fully manifested. And there are certain instances in the Mahabharata where the rajasic ego of Yudhishthira manifested. They mentioned that also. Like for example, during the war, Arjuna and Karna were going to fight against each other. But before that, Karna fought with all the other Pandava brothers, that is Yudhishthira, then Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva, and defeated them in the one-on-one battle. And instead of killing them, because he had given word to his mother Kunti that he will kill only Arjuna, not the rest of the Pandavas. So he, instead of killing them, he taunted them with words. He insulted them and then let them free. So Yudhishthira was taunted by Karna and he felt so humiliated, he came and sat. So as soon as Arjuna came that evening, he asked him, "Did you kill Karna?" So Arjuna said no, in the sense he didn't have the opportunity to fight with him that day. So immediately Yudhishthira got angry and he said, "Go and throw your Gandiva." Gandiva was his bow, He says, "Go and throw your Gandiva and your arrows and go back home. You're a coward," he said. Arjuna himself got very angry. Of course, then Lord Krishna had to step in and cool things down. And so once Yudhishthira's rajas got subsided, then he apologized to Arjuna and said, I'm very sorry, I was not myself. So that is a classic example of the manifestation of rajasic ego. So when you are studying the Puranas, one way is to see whom can we say that, as a person who has asuric ego or rakshasic ego or daivik ego. That is difficult. They have given such personalities. For example, Hiranyakashipu. All the asuras, they all have predominantly asuric ego. So such characters have also been given. Then you have many rakshasas. They are all having rajasic ego predominantly. And then you have the devas. But for your sadhana, that is one way of understanding. This principle that all three are present in every individual also should be absorbed. So as a sadhana, when you're looking at the various characters, you can see in their lives, at what periods of time did they manifest asuric ego, rakshasic ego and daivika ego. That will also make a very interesting study. If you take Ashwatthama, towards the end, he manifested the asuric ego, where he invoked the Brahmashirsha, the astra, the weapon which can destroy actually the whole world. And he said, let this world be Pandavaless. And he directed it towards the unborn child of Abhimanyu, Parikshit, into the womb of Parikshit's wife. That is a direct manifestation of asuric ego. If you take a person like Kamsa, throughout his life, he was manifesting the asuric ego and the rakshasic ego. But just before his death, when Krishna was about to kill him, he bowed down to Lord Krishna. He understood the greatness of the Lord, and he completely surrendered all his ego to Lord Krishna. At that moment, the daivika nature in him was triggered. So I have given you a few examples from the puranas to just illustrate this. So don't fix these concepts and become rigid with these concepts. Be flexible. In life, sometimes you will manifest the asuric tendencies, sometimes you will manifest the rakshasic tendencies, sometimes you will manifest the daivika tendencies. So when you're making an analysis of yourself, when you're doing the swadhyaya, every week after week I'm giving you various homework for you to penetrate deep within you. So when you're doing that, always understand that you have all the three within you. So don't brand yourself as belonging to any one category. We are only trying to see the percentage, what is more predominant within us, so that we give that particular treatment and keep on improving. That is the idea. There is another question also which he has asked, which is again very relevant to whatever we are doing. Naranji has asked, I wish to know about the negative thoughts or emotions, that is the self-destructive, harmful thoughts and emotions which gets generated on its own within us towards the self, that is towards ourselves and not towards anyone. So how do we categorize this, and can this also be treated as asuric or rakshasic tendency within oneself? If so, how to overcome this tendency? See, these tendencies are always there within you only. We are not talking of what is there outside. Now, I think you are referring to the asuric ego when it is said that, you want to destroy others. And then similarly, the rajasic ego when you are comparing yourself with others. The sattvic ego when you are self-content. So what you are asking is, suppose self-destructive thoughts, what are they? Yes, they also can be classified. That is, thoughts related to yourself can also be classified as asuric, rakshasic and sattvic without any reference to others. When you have a lot of self-destructive thoughts, that is asuric ego. When you have destructive thoughts towards others, the asuric ego is directed outward. When you have destructive thoughts towards yourself, it is directed inward, that's all. But it's the same asuric ego only. Similarly, the Rakshasic ego. See, if what is your self-image? If you're too proud of yourself, that is a destructive thought, that can lead to destruction. Or direct destructive thoughts, like let me harm myself. Some people do get into such phases in life. Sometimes when you're facing a lot of difficulty, you give up. The tendency to give up itself is tamasic only. You give up and you say, let me end my life. Sometimes some people go to that extreme. That is an extreme case of the asuric ego manifesting. Instead of putting in effort and trying to see how things can be solved, the tendency to completely give up and take the easy way out. So rajasic ego, without directing it to anything outside, if you're just looking at all your negativities and you're feeling more stressed about it, if your self-image is very weak, you feel, I am a very impure person, I am a bad person. If you're constantly feeling like that and you're feeling down, then that is a rajasic ego. If you have a sattvic nature, your self-image will be one of confidence. You will look at yourself in a very confident way. If you have any negative quality within you, you will say, okay, now let me correct myself. You are not going to sit and brood over it. You will not get affected when the guru tells you, listen, you have this negative quality. Now, the moment that is told, a sattvic student will not get affected. He will rather thank the guru. Thank you so much for pointing out, sir. Now I will correct myself. If the asuric ego is strong, the student will move away from the guru, will not be able to continue taking the guidance. If you have a strong rajasic ego that is predominant, then when the guru points a fault, the student will feel very bad. Oh, I have this quality, and getting into more stress. That is rajasic ego. So whether that energy is directed outside or whether that energy is directed inside, it doesn't matter. When it is tamasic, it is asuric. When it is rajasic, it is rakshasic. When it is sattvic, it is daivika, divine. Is that clear? So that's why I said these are qualities, gunas. See, even a highly sattvic person will have a little bit of rajas and tamas. So he should be careful. That's why they say, till you reach the highest goal, it's better to protect yourself. Why is it that they say that a guru is required till the end? Because he will be giving the protective energy. See, when you surrender to the guru completely, you may slip here and there, but the guru will not allow you to completely go astray. Of course, the asuric tendency will prevent a person from surrendering to the guru. Then of course the guru can't do anything. So these are not absolute terms, but these are relative qualities which keep on changing. I remember reading a statement by some thinker. That person says, there is so much good in the worst of us, and there is so much bad in the best of us, that it does not behove us to talk about the rest of us. It's a very interesting statement. So whatever principles are applicable outside are applicable inside also. So when you are doing the swadhyaya, self-study, I said don't become judgmental about others. You should not become judgmental about yourself also. The moment you become judgmental about yourself, if you slip from assessment to judgment, then you will stop putting in efforts. If your asuric and rakshasic tendencies are more, you will become very down. If your sattvic tendencies are more, you will start developing an ego, a pride over that, and quickly all the sattvic tendencies will go away. So the ego is so deadly. When you see yourself having a lot of sattvic tendencies, it can develop a pride over that, and quickly all your sattvic tendencies can go away. You have to be careful. So, with this understanding, there is one more point which we need to see here, that is vihaya kaman. It's a very practical sadhana which he is giving there. See, when we were talking about the kamaha, the uncontrolled desire, and how it can become cravings, prihaha, and how you need to convert that into ichcha. Now, one question may come to you, that is, what do I do with my kamaha, the various desires which I have today? How do I deal with them? Especially when they are in the form of kama. Kama means uncontrolled desires. See, when he says vihaya kaman, abandon the desires, he is not talking only about the desires, but the various modifications of the desires also. We saw that in the earlier verses, the ladder of fall, how when your desire is out of your control, it will develop into anger, krodha, fear, bhayaha, and then mada, matsarya, the envy, the pride, so many, shokaha, sorrow, so many modifications we saw. So when he says abandon the kamaha, he is also talking of the various modifications, all the negative emotions which you have within you. So what do I do with all this now? How do I overcome this? That is a legitimate question which can come in your mind as a sadhak. He is giving the answer to that. The key there is the word vihaya. Once I explain to you in a little more depth, you will be amazed to see how in the very process of describing a sthita prajna, he also gives you the path. So he says vihaya kaman, abandoning all the uncontrolled desires, thoughts, negative emotions, all these things. Kamaha represents all the negative energy which you have within you. So how do you deal with that? Practically, what do you do? Now, the word vihaya actually is such a beautiful word which has many dimensions. Now, I'm taking up the three main dimensions of the word vihaya, which actually give you 3 steps towards self-purification. Vihaya first means in spite of, notwithstanding. This is one dimension of Vihaya. The second dimension of Vihaya is disregarding, overlooking, setting it aside. And the third dimension of Vihaya is leaving behind, excluding. So when we say abandoning, when we use the word abandon in English, it actually encompasses these three aspects. So we'll see them one by one. It will help you so much. See, you're having a lot of, let us say, negative thoughts, negative emotions. So they don't allow you to function in life. You want to do your duties in life. You fixed a goal and you're trying to function. But a lot of negative thoughts, emotions, the uncontrolled desires come and they are trying to pull you away. So how should you function? How can you overcome those negative forces which don't allow you to progress in life? He says Vihaya. So what is the first dimension of Vihaya? In spite of, notwithstanding. He says the first step which you should do is don't focus on the negative energy within you. In spite of that, try to do whatever you ought to do in life. I am using the word try to do to emphasize the effort. Actually, in the yogic language, there is nothing like trying. You do it or not do it. Here, in this context, I am using the word trying to just emphasize the fact that you need to put an effort in this direction. So one thing is you have fixed a goal, you want to progress in that direction. But these are the negative factors which are trying to pull you away in another direction. Now, he says, as a human being, you have a choice to either feed this force within you or to feed this force, that is a positive force within you. So what is the choice which you take? He says, in spite of the negative force, start putting in efforts to do the positive things in life. You see, when you try to do that, you may fail a few times, it doesn't matter. But get up and again consciously put in efforts to move in the positive direction. See, this is something which most people don't do. When a negative thought comes in your mind, no doubt it has surfaced because of the past karmas, it has come. Now, as a sadhak, what you should do is understand, yes, this negative thought, negative emotion is there. You need to apply this. Now, what is the opposite of that? Now, let me put an effort in the direction. Your efforts may not be successful in the first attempt, because if the force of that negative emotion is strong, it may try to pull you away. That is why I gave you the sadhana of deep breathing. Especially the breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. We're using the breath as a tool to gain quick control over the mind, to release whatever the negative energy which is surfacing. So generally, you don't apply your willpower and put in that effort. You just give in to that negative energy and that takes you wherever it wants to take you. So this is the first dimension of Vihaya. Whenever you find any negative force within you manifesting, is in spite of that, withstanding that, you continue in your chosen path. Put in that effort consciously. In one of the later chapters, he will be giving more subtleties of this Vihaya. He says, it doesn't matter where you are, even if you have committed the worst of sins, it doesn't matter. But today you take a resolve and start putting in efforts in the right direction. I will help you, he says. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, in the Bhagavad Gita, he says that if your mind is totally not under your control, don't worry about it, Uddhava. Just use your willpower and take a resolve and start doing your sadhana, he says. First, you may find it difficult, but over a period of time, he says, things will become easy for you. That choice, that conscious effort using the willpower is something most people stop using whenever a negative force manifests within them, within their minds. See, the negative force can be an uncontrollable desire directly, or it can be fear, it can be anger, it can be jealousy, it could be anything, does not matter. So, are you feeding the negative within you consciously, or are you putting in the efforts using your willpower in the positive direction? No point in saying it is difficult. So what if it is difficult? This is what has to be done. See, all good things need not be easy to start with. Every achiever in life has to go through a lot of challenges initially, and one who comes out victorious over all this alone can succeed. It is like a game. So, when you go to a master, he does not see whether you are having negative tendencies or positive tendencies. If you have negative tendencies, he is not going to criticize you for that, or is not going to judge you. What a master will be looking is whether you have negative or positive, what is the choice which you are making today? Are you using whatever willpower you have to the best of your ability today, as of this moment, to not to go along with the negative, but to go in the positive path? That willingness to put that effort, that is what a master will look at. As long as that willingness is there, the master will guide. But the moment that willingness goes away, the master will withdraw. The student may have a lot of positive qualities, but no use. That is why it is said, it does not matter where you are. It matters where are you going today. Where do you want to go? So this is the first dimension of vihaya, in spite of. And then when you keep exercising your willpower thus, you will fail many a time. See, before a baby learns to walk properly, the baby does fall many a times. But you observe, the baby will never fan or encourage that tendency to fall. The baby will go on trying to walk. That willingness to put that effort in that direction, that is what gives the baby the success. So don't just do the sadhana for a few days and say, oh, my mind is so negative. I have done it for 2 years, 3 years. Still I have this negativity within me. That is a very short-sighted approach. You should go on putting the effort in spite of these negative factors. Number one. Then when you keep exercising your willpower thus, you will move to the next stage. You will be able to practice the next dimension. The next dimension of vihaya is disregarding, overlooking, setting aside. So when you get more power and within you, you will be able to, whenever a negative thought or emotion arises, you will be able to set it aside very conveniently and focus on the positive. In the first step, the negative force will come and pull you away from the chosen path. So there is a lot of struggle. That's why in that dimension, he says, in spite of you being pulled away, you use your willpower and just make an attempt to be positive. He says, don't leave that choice. Now when you keep doing that, your inner power will go on increasing. After a while, you will get that power. Whenever a negative thought or emotion comes, but you have something else to do, let us say you have a schedule, you will just be able to set it aside and focus on whatever you want to focus. That is a very powerful step in spirituality. It comes only to those sadhaks who apply themselves diligently and practice the first step. Just imagine the amount of power which you will have. Whenever a negative thought or a negative emotion comes, you just say, okay, step aside. You take it and keep it there and you continue. That is when you gain true mastery over your moods. You move to the second step of Vihaya. Such people can become great achievers in life. Not only external achievement, but you will also become very peaceful. See, when your moods are not under your control, you cannot be peaceful. You will be at the mercy of your mind. Whereas when your moods are under your control, now the mind will be under you. What a powerful state that is. What a peaceful state that is. Just imagine. That is the second dimension of Vihaya. Now, when you progress further, you go on practicing, setting aside the negative thought, the negative emotion, the uncontrolled forces, distracting forces of present in your mind, and you practice focus on the positive. Then you will move to the third stage of Vihaya. The third stage is Vihaya, means leaving behind or out, excluding. So when you practice the second step diligently, your inner power will further increase. What will happen is you will get the capacity to detach yourself from the negative energy, from the negative emotions and thoughts completely. See, in the second stage, the negative emotion, negative thought comes. You set it aside and you're trying to function. In the third stage, you completely detach yourself, disassociate yourself from the negative energy. If a negative thought comes, you no longer identify with that. See, today, if a negative emotion comes, automatically you identify with that. But here you get the power to disidentify with the negative energy within you. So then you get the capacity to leave it behind. Doesn't matter, you just be behind and you will march forward and you will achieve whatever goal which you have set for yourself. So this is the third step in Vihaya. Now, if you want to succeed in whatever it is that you're doing, practice the sadhana of Vihaya. Because whenever you set a goal, whenever you want to achieve something, there are going to be a lot of negative forces in your mind which try to pull you away from the chosen path. Now it is up to you. As a human being, you have the choice. Don't just sit there and keep complaining or keep crying. Oh, my mind is not under my control. I have this negativity, that negativity. Practice the sadhana of vihaya. Spirituality means strength. Not becoming more and more weak. And how do you acquire that strength? The secret is here. Vihaya kama. So we have translated it as abandoning the desires. So abandoning has these 3 steps. This will be very useful, extremely useful to all of you. So don't judge yourself based on your negative emotions or moods. That is there within everyone. That's what we saw today to start with. Now, if at all you want to judge yourself based on the willingness to put an effort. As long as you have the willingness and willpower to put in the efforts in the right direction, it does not matter what negative emotion, what negative thought you have, and how many negative thoughts, what is the intensity of the negative emotions. All these things do not matter, because irrespective of the quantity and quality, quantity and intensity of the negative forces within you, your willpower, your willingness to put in that effort in the right direction, the willingness to change will slowly build a very powerful momentum, and you will cross these 3 stages of vihaya. So vihaya kaman means abandon the kamaha. Kamaha means your uncontrolled desires and all the modifications associated with the desires. So don't complain. Yes, I have anger within me, I have fear within me, I have jealousy within me, I have envy within me. See, once you get into this mode of complaining, self-pity and all that, now that is going to go on increasing. Instead of using your choice as a human being to complain and get into self-pity, he says, now use the same choice to exercise your willpower and show the willingness to put in the effort to move in the positive direction. It's like, a lot of people are pulling you this side, that side, but your effort should be to move in your direction. As I told you, you may not succeed straight away. It does not matter. Even at the weakest moment, a true sadhak will show the intention to improve. It is very easy to just sit and complain about what is going on around you, that is the negative things and why you are not able to achieve. But it takes a lot of strength and power to be able to apply yourself in the positive direction and achieve. So remember, it is not that an achiever does not face any challenges. He somehow or other, he or she develops that inner strength to succeed in spite of all these challenges. If you read the Puranic stories, you will find that all the good characters faced so many challenges. Even Lord Rama had to face so many challenges in life. Sage Vishwamitra, how did he become the sage? In one of the discourses earlier, I explained the whole story and the significance of that. He went through the 3 stages of Vihaya and he conquered himself completely. the great saint Ramatita, he says at one point of time his mind was afflicted with a lot of fear and various negative things. He says every whiff of wind used to throw Rama's mind off balance. But out of sheer grit, determination, willpower, he says, he kept on doing the sadhana, and he reached a state where he was a full master of his mind. So if one person can do this, anybody else can. In the Shastras, they have not given any prerogative to any person. Yaha, saha, whoever it may be, if they fulfill all this criteria, they become qualified. So a person who gets qualified need not ask. Automatically the higher grace will flow into him or her. A person who is not putting in the efforts only will keep asking, will I get or not? Understand the law of karma fully. So Vihaya Kaman is such a powerful practical tool which he is giving you to deal with your negative energy. That is, negative energy means thoughts which are negative, the desires which are uncontrolled, the emotions, the various negative emotions. See, these are all forces within you which build up a particular kind of energy. So this is the way you can deal with that. Okay, so we'll stop with that today. Next week we'll continue. We'll go to the next verse also. I have been taking this verse. Somebody has mentioned in one of the YouTube comments that we have almost, this verse has been taken for 20 sessions now. That was very surprising for me, because originally I had not planned that much. Actually, I don't plan at all. But I thought in 2-3 sessions we'll move, because this verse was very deep. But 20 sessions, that shows you have been receiving this wisdom so well. See, when the receiver is of a very good quality, then automatically the energy flow will happen and you will never feel the strain. See, when I tell you, when I mentioned to you 20 sessions we have been doing this verse, that would have been a surprise to all of you, because you would have never felt the passage of time. 20 sessions we have studied this. That itself shows how wonderfully you have been receiving. It is because of God's grace that this yogic approach is being revealed to all of you. So in the next session, we will sum this up and move further. We'll go to the next verse, and then after that we will move to the third chapter. This particular verse, I went into a lot of depth. I've been doing that because this is such a powerful verse, which actually, I would say, defines the whole Bhagavad Gita. The entire sadhana is there in this verse. And I did mention to you when we started this, for the rest, there is the whole life, just this verse can be studied. Why? Just the nirahankaraha can be penetrated. But we'll have to balance out between the length and depth so that we also cover some material that will also be useful to you as a sadhak. Okay? So we'll continue all that next week. Now we'll do the meditation. Sit in a relaxed way. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more divine. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. Beyond this physical body, beyond these various desires and emotions, beyond these various thoughts, lies the infinite supreme reality, my essential self. I am one with the infinite. From this moment onwards, I choose to continuously put in the best of my efforts in moving forward towards my ultimate goal of infinite happiness. No force outside or inside can stop me from reaching my destination. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today was a very deep and practical session. If you absorb the points given in today's session, you will become a very high level of achiever in life. We are building that energy within and then utilizing it to grow spiritually, that is in the spiritual path. So reflect on these points. As Shakespeare says, grapple them to your soul. Don't just merely go through these points mechanically. Relate them to your life. Especially that point about the willpower, the willingness to move in the higher direction. So it is not where you are that matters. Your past defines that. But now your future is going to be defined by the choices which you are making today, at this moment. A master is concerned about that alone, not your past, not even your future, because future is anyway a product of this only. Okay, so think about this. Next week we'll proceed further. But before that, if you can do some reflection about all these points, not only today, but even the previous few sessions. And when you come back next week, having done the internal sadhana, it will be very useful for you when we go to the next verse, because there he'll be concluding in this chapter. Of course, these sessions are going to be kept for you there in the YouTube to revisit. But when we are doing this, that is the best time for you to clinch it. Okay? So thank you very much. Hari Om.